My name is Catherine Harrison, 78 years old. My husband Robert died 5 years ago, leaving me with $850,000 in retirement savings. I'd never handled investments before. Robert always managed our finances. I was overwhelmed and scared. That's when Marcus Webb came into my life. He was a financial advisor at a prestigious firm, impeccably dressed, charming, and seemed genuinely concerned about my well-being. Mrs. Harrison, I specialize in helping widows protect their assets. Your husband would want you taken care of. Marcus had excellent credentials, glowing client testimonials, and worked for a well-known investment company. I trusted him. I gave him full authority to manage my portfolio. For 3 years, Marcus sent quarterly statements showing my investments growing steadily. The numbers looked good. I was earning 8 to 10% returns annually. Marcus would call occasionally to check on me, always professional and reassuring. Your portfolio is performing beautifully, Catherine. You'll be financially secure for life. Then my grandson Alex, who works in finance, visited for Thanksgiving. He asked about my investments. Grandma, let me review your portfolio. I want to make sure everything's properly diversified. I showed Alex the quarterly statements Marcus had sent. Alex studied them carefully, then his expression changed. Grandma, these returns don't match current market performance. Can I see your actual account statements from the brokerage firm? Marcus sends me those quarterly reports. Aren't those the account statements? No, Grandma, those are summaries he created. You should be getting official statements directly from the investment company. Do you have online access to your accounts? I didn't. Marcus had always said he'd handle everything so I wouldn't be confused by complicated financial jargon. Alex helped me set up online access to my investment accounts. What we discovered made me physically ill. My $850,000 was now worth $420,000. Over 3 years, I'd lost $430,000. But I hadn't lost it to bad investments. Marcus had stolen it. Alex, who's a CPA, analyzed every transaction. Marcus had been churning my accounts, buying and selling unnecessarily to generate commissions, investing in high-risk ventures that earned him massive kickbacks, transferring money to accounts he controlled, charging excessive management fees of 8 to 12% annually, creating fake quarterly statements to hide the losses. The official brokerage statements showed the truth. While Marcus's fake reports claimed I had $850,000 growing steadily, my actual balance had been dropping for 3 years. He'd stolen or squandered $430,000 of my retirement savings. I was devastated. That money was supposed to last my lifetime. Robert had worked 40 years to save it, and Marcus had stolen it while pretending to protect me. But Marcus made a critical mistake. He didn't know that before I married Robert, I worked as a securities compliance officer for the SEC for 25 years. I knew every regulation governing financial advisors. I knew exactly what Marcus had done wrong, and I knew how to destroy him. I contacted my former colleague who still worked at the SEC. Richard, I need to file a securities fraud complaint. I have documentation of everything. I filed complaints with the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, FINRA, Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, the State Securities Board, the FBI for wire fraud. I provided them with Marcus's fake quarterly statements versus the real brokerage statements, transaction records showing unauthorized trades, evidence of excessive fees and commissions, proof of high-risk investments that violated my stated risk tolerance, documentation of kickback arrangements. The SEC investigation moved quickly. They discovered I wasn't Marcus's only victim. He'd been running this scheme with 12 other elderly widows. Total theft, $3.2 million. Marcus was arrested at his office. His employer fired him immediately and cooperated with investigators to avoid corporate liability. The criminal trial took 8 months. I testified along with 3 other victims. Marcus Webb exploited my grief and inexperience to steal my husband's life savings. He created elaborate fake documents to hide his theft. He specifically targeted widows because he thought we were easy victims who wouldn't understand finance. The prosecutor presented overwhelming evidence. Marcus's own emails showed him bragging about managing elderly clients who don't ask questions. He'd even joked with colleagues about retirement fund shopping. The jury convicted Marcus on 14 counts of securities fraud, wire fraud, and elder financial abuse. The judge sentenced him to 18 years in federal prison. Mr. Webb, you systematically targeted vulnerable elderly widows and stole millions meant for their retirement. You violated every ethical standard of your profession. You showed no remorse. 18 years in federal prison. But I wanted more than his imprisonment. I wanted my money back. Marcus had spent most of the stolen money on a luxury lifestyle. Expensive cars, a vacation home, designer clothes, lavish trips. But his assets were seized. His house, cars, boat, investment accounts. Everything sold at auction. Through the asset seizure and FINRA's Investor Protection Fund, I recovered $310,000 of my $430,000 loss. Not everything, but enough to restore my financial security. Marcus's professional licenses were permanently revoked. His employer's insurance paid additional restitution to victims. Marcus will never work in finance again. The investment firm that employed Marcus faced regulatory sanctions and paid $2.5 million in fines for failing to properly supervise him. I'm now 78 years old with $730,000 in my retirement accounts, properly managed by a reputable firm with strict oversight. My grandson Alex reviews my statements quarterly. Marcus Webb thought he could steal from elderly widows because we wouldn't understand finance or fight back. He forgot that some elderly widows spent careers regulating people exactly like him. I worked 25 years at the SEC. I knew every law he broke. Every regulation he violated, every ethical standard he ignored. I built the case that sent him to federal prison and recovered most of my stolen money. Marcus is now 3 years into an 18-year sentence. When he's released at 65, he'll have no career, no assets, and no reputation. Meanwhile, I'm financially secure, and 12 other widows got justice because I fought back. People sometimes ask if I feel guilty about destroying Marcus's life. I don't. He destroyed elderly women's financial security while they grieved their husbands. He deserves every day of that sentence. I'm a retired SEC compliance officer. I spent 25 years protecting investors from fraud. When someone tried to defraud me, I used that same expertise to destroy him. Age doesn't erase professional knowledge. Experience is power. And this 78-year-old just proved it. The end. Subscribe for more justice stories. Hit that bell icon and never miss revenge against scammers.